Well, a very warm welcome, everyone. We're going to get going now with this Burns Night. This is the second year that we've collaborated. That by we, I mean the Howth Singing Circle in Ireland and the World's Room in Edinburgh Folk Club here in Scotland. I'm speaking to you from Edinburgh. And we've got a great night of mostly Burns-related material for you, most certainly from the Scottish side, that's true. And performers from all the airts of Scotland and all the airts of Ireland as well. We're very well covered for around the two countries. And we'll get going in a minute, but first I'm going to hand you over to Francie to just go through one or two technical details. So Francie, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us, whether you're live with us here on Zoom or looking in on Facebook and indeed subsequently on YouTube. First of all, our thanks from Howth Singing Circle to Edinburgh Folk Club and to the World's Room for collaborating with us once again. Rather ironic that we're here on Zoom on a day when Ireland has lifted all its restrictions, but you never know, maybe next year. You will have seen this perhaps on the links that we've sent out. It's the programme for the night, and you're welcome to access that. If you haven't got it, just give us an email. Just one or two little practical things before we start. The practice here is that we unmute everybody at the end of every performance, and you can express your appreciation of the artist at that point. We ask you then to remute for when the next item comes up. If you don't remute, we have a mute and polis looking in, so you will be muted if you don't do it yourself. But by unmuting and having a wee bit of crack at the end of each item, it gives us a sense of company and occasion. On the top of your Zoom screen on the right hand side, you'll see a button which I can't actually see at the moment. Speaker view or gallery view. If you go into speaker view at the moment, you'll just see myself and David, and we're going to spotlight every the button says view. You just pick speaker view and we will spotlight every performer, and or Sandy McGee, who is behind the scenes, is doing all the captions and lining up the videos, and when they're being played again, they'll be spotlighted, so the whole screen will be taken up by the performer themselves. And I think that's it, with one exception, and that is to say this night, which is drawn together, as David says, tremendous performers from all over the place, largely simply on their goodwill, including David Francie, who you'll meet later, from Canada. So we don't receive any funding whatsoever for this, not least because it was done at relatively short notice. So there is a donate button if you want to record your appreciation, and that money will go to the Paddy Boat Fund in Edinburgh and to the Howth Singing Circle, and that will appear in the chat line if you want to follow that as well, which is at the bottom of your screen. And in fact, Niamh Parsons has just put it up. So there you go, long-winded introductions and apologies, but that's all the technical detail. We'll go over to David now.
Thanks, Francie. And as Francie hinted, we've got a mix of recordings, video recordings, and also people who are live in their own living rooms and are going to be performing live. But first of all, we go to the video, and it's a stalwart of Edinburgh Folk Club, one of our long-standing committee members. That's Alan McMillan, and here he is with his wife Rosemary and cellist Wendy Witherby.
The Night Was Still, words by Robert Burns, music by Ewan Drysdale. The night was still, and o'er the hill the moon shone on the castle wall. The mavis sang while dewdrops hung around her on the castle wall. Sing merrily, they danced the ring, free till the cocks did crow, and died the o'er the spring was Southern's pains are body castle wall. The maiden sang while dewdrops hang around her on the castle wall. Sing merrily, they dance the rain, free till the cock did crow, and tie the oar o'er the spring was Arwen's bairns, our bonny old. Sing merrily, they dance the rain, free till the cocks did crow, and tie the oar o'er the spring was Arwen's bairns, our bonny old, our bonny old, our bonny old.
So we started off there with Wendy Weatherby on the cello and Alan and Rosemary Macmillan, and Alan's contribution to the night, even before he sang, was this wonderful design both for this year and indeed last year's Burns Nicht programmes, and we're extremely grateful to Alan for doing that with us. Our first live performance tonight comes from Dublin, and it's going to be Aoife Dermody and Mairead Phelan singing a song written by Aoife called Welcome in Ireland. It's an adaptation or an adaptation of Peace in Ireland, originally written by Hugh McWilliams in Antrim in 1836, and it's Aoife's call for compassion in the midst of an escalating crisis of refugees from the Middle East and North Africa trying to come across to Ireland, and a plea, if you like, for Ireland to show the same welcome as we were shown when we, as in the diaspora, went around the world. Aoife is a well-known singer in Dublin. You'll see she has particular great style and strength in her singing, great passion. And Mairead is a singer, flute player and clawhammer banjo player, and has toured with the band as lead singer Solace. So over to Aoife Dermody and Mairead Phelan.
We're all mankind disposed like me to live in peace and unity. No more contention there would be to bring these souls to heaven. For sure we know we all are sprung from Eve and Adam, old and young. These words should flow from every tongue. We welcome you to heaven. If all we want is to be free, to work as one, let's all agree and live in peace and unity, all nations one in heaven. Once huddled masses, wretched we, once homeless tempest tossed at sea. So let us give all refuge can boast so pure an air, or people with such warmth and care. Let's open up our golden door to the new sons of Erin. Far, far abroad our welcome known, and welcomes too we have been shown. So let us cultivate at home a warm embrace in Erin. It's principle that shows the man this is the best, the only plan. It's one that we have built upon in these past years in Erin. So let us now this present day drive prejudice and fear away with open hearts. Let us all say we welcome you to Erin.
Great stuff.
That was beautiful, Army.
Thanks, Aoife Marie. That was a really powerful song. Great lyrics and beautifully sung as well. Now, we need a bit of Gaelic, don't we? So we're going to go back to another video presentation and welcome Margaret Bennett. Margaret is originally from the Isle of Skye, currently lives in Comrie in Perthshire, and is one of our greatest folklorists, and also a tradition bearer and a national treasurer herself. So here's Margaret to tell you a wee bit about the song.
Barnes heard a lot of Gaelic melodies, Highland melodies, on his tour of the Highlands, and had sometimes said that the melody for his Aphon Kiss is based on a tune by the Varsha Dow, the blind harper. So also is this one by the bard John MacLean. He horos na horo ele, he horos na horo ele, he horos na horo ele, gurdum on loy din vioch a hilmi, nor vam im chalig var ich, och mi Guds kraft om oike, eke vilt og fjerse vojach, skagera ich mir im bjofferele. Hi horos na horo ele, hi horos na horo ele, hi horos na horo ele, gurdum on loir in bjach a hilmi. Dochul tuach kuach vojach, falt o hin marichan londu, dag roi mar grechnen rosen, siat ho jaute kjone maikne. Had o chalabe kimmer tjirach, maar we hebben een reike vierland. Skrefir tók mi loaigút, merskne vent och loair halú. Hi maros na horo wile, hi haros na horo wile, hi haros na horo wile. Gytum o loer i'n fioch a chilmi. If on kiss and then we sever, if there will alas forever, deep in heart-wrung tears I'll pledge thee, warring sighs and groans I'll wage thee. Fare thee will thou first and fairest, fare thee will thou best and dearest, thine milk a joy and pleasure, peace, enjoyment, love and treasure. He haros na horo wele, he haros na horo wele, he haros na horo wele. Gyrdwm o lwy ryn fioch a chelmi.
Ítach Maira.
Lovely, Margaret. Thank you very much. And just connecting up Burns and the Gaelic tradition there beautifully. Bit of connection in this next one between Burns and Walter Scott. Of course, they knew each other, or they met each other briefly when Scott was just a boy in one of Burns's trips to Edinburgh. And this song was used in a stage play that was based on one of Walter Scott's stories. The story was Tales from a Landlord, and it was one of those songs that was current when Burns picked it up, and he sort of tidied it up a wee bit for the Scots Musical Museum. And here to sing it for us is Steve Byrne.
Thanks, Dave. Saved me an introduction here. That's perfect. The title of this song is called We're A Noddin', with the subtitle Gedin to your kimmer. Kimmer is a Scots word which can mean a gossip. Sometimes it can just mean a friend or a neighbour. And this arrangement owes not a little to the singing of the great Rod Patterson, who's one of our best singers of Burns songs, and the group Kjolbeg. So here we go. And apologies if the chorus sticks in your mind for the rest of the night. Get into your kimmer and how do you do? Hiccup, oh kimmer, the better that I'm foo. We're a noddin', noddin'. We're a noddin' at our hoose at hame. We're a noddin', noddin'. We're a noddin' at our hoose at hame. Kate sits saving you, supping hen brew. Deal ta Kate and she been a noddin' who. We're a noddin', noddin'. We're a noddin' at our hoose at hame. We're a noddin', noddin'. We're a noddin' at our hoose at hame. How's will you kimmer and how do you fare? A pint o' the best oat and twa pints mair. We're a noddin', noddin'. We're a noddin' at our hoose at hame. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame Gedeen. Who's a way you cammer and how do you thrive? Who money burn say ye, go cammer a high five. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame. Are they a Johnny's at wheel na? Twa them was gotten when Johnny was a wa. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame Gedeen. Cats like Mull and ducks like brew, lads like lasses wheel and lasses lads too. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame. We're a noddin, noddin, we're a noddin at our hoose at Dame Gedeen.
Woo! Good stuff, Steve. Great stuff, Steve Byrne, to whom I personally owe so much over the last few years. We'll understand, but it's lovely to have him with us. I should have said retrospectively that Aoife Dermody has Galway connections in Mairead Phelan from Monaghan, and Margaret Bennett, who sang from Perthshire there, has been a regular with Howth Singing Circle, as has our next performer, Billy Jolly from Orkney. Now, before I introduce Billy, I also want to just say hello to a few people looking in: Pete Burnham and Dave McCracken in Northumbria, Bonnie Aguila from Milwaukee, Carol Boeja from somewhere in Canada, Brenda Collins in the Borders, Gavin Byrne in Wexford, Jennifer Orr in County Down, agus Bridan in Ivoil as Guidor Donanel. Now, Billy Jolly is from Orkney, famous for being a member of the group Hullion and indeed other Orkney-based performers, both as a singer and as a Muthi player. And Billy has attended our Burns Nichts in the past. He's going to sing, very appropriately, Lonely Scapa Flow, written by the Edinburgh-born but essentially Orcadian songwriter Ali Windwick in 1913 to 1999. And it's one of many that he wrote, but this summarises the sense of significance that was put onto Orkney during both World Wars, when Scapa Flow obviously was a major part of the Allies' naval operations, and the islands were joined by causeways in the Second World War. So the wonderful Billy Jolly, recorded here in his hospital bed in Orkney, and we wish him every wellness, and thank Erica Shearer, his daughter, for doing the recording. Billy Jolly, Lonely Scapa Flow.
Do you recall, my dear, how once you walked with me among the warm brown hills towards the shining sea? How we lingered long upon the shore to see beloved ships come sailing up the flow. But that was yesterday, for now they come no more among the small green isles where oft they lay of yore, and so we linger sadly by an empty shore and shed a tear for lonely Scapa Flow. We watched them anchor proudly as the sun went down, heard the far-off bugle from the old renown, then o'er the gleaming waters, like a brave new town, 1,000 port lights winked in Scapa Flow. But that was yesterday, for now they come no more among the small green isles whereof they lay of yore, and so we'd linger sadly by an empty shore and shed a tear for lonely Scapa Flow. Then for a while we walked not on that darkened shore, no winking port lights then to glint the wave tops o'er. There were those who came but will return no more, who are asleep in lonely Scapa Flow. But that was yesterday, for now they come no more among the small green isles whereof they lay of yore, and so we linger sadly by an empty shore and shed a tear for lonely Scapa Flow. And so we linger sadly by an empty shore and shed a tear for lonely Scapa Flow.
Oh, well done.
Brilliant.
Great, Billy. Thanks very much. And Billy's actually in the company tonight. He's joining us live tonight. And
Hey.
very welcome. Warm welcome to you, Billy. Now, there is a new book that has just recently come out called In the Footsteps of Colum Cille, which involves our own Francie Devine, as well as the musician Paul Anderson, the fiddler from Tarland in Aberdeenshire, and the well-known Scottish artist John Lowry Morrison, known as Jolomo. And it's a book of original paintings, tunes, songs and poems, all connected with the 1500th anniversary of Colum Cille, or St Columba as we know him in Scotland. Not only Columba, but the Book of Kells as well. And if you want to check it out, there is a website in the footsteps of columcille.com, so further inquiries can be made there. But in the meantime, we're going to hear some excerpts from the book from Eileen Clancy, Helen Lahart and Dara O'Boyle. Over to them.
You're muted, Eileen. You're muted, Eileen.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. The color. Will I start again?
Yes.
Yes. The colors of the Book of Kells. An absence of true color, free of sin, innocent, light to the dark. White stood for angelical purity, all the virtues, virginity, swaddling clothes and veils. If ceruse, zinc, or lime were unobtainable, chalk powder or eggshell, speckled white or brown, coloured lambkin, bright star, or pristine baptismal robe.
Green. Green was the middle colour in medieval artists' charts to manufacture from terravert. A hydrosilicate of iron, potassium. As underpaint, it softened fleshy pinks, providing shadow, perspective, and depth. As using verdigris or malachite proved unstable and erosive, refuge was taken in blending trusty blues and yellows. William of Auvergne instructed that green lay halfway between white, which dilated the pupil, and black, which contracted it, creating a calming sensation, especially seen in great expanse. Studious scribes thus valued turf growing outside their cells or within their cloistered walks. They kept emerald objects beside them as soothing balm for eyes pinched by tiny detail. Green was cheery, ever present. even in midwinter with pine, yew, and holly holding foliage. As days lengthened, verdant variations multiplied, fanfare to nature, fertility, bountifulness. Green symbolized the epiphany, rebirth, hopes for eternal bliss, manifestation of the incarnate.
Black, an absence of true colour, it was death and mourning, Good Friday's agonies, fast and renouncement, foreboding and ignorance. Black indicated strength. Evil's constant companion, unambiguous, immovable, squeezed from iron gall, brushed from soot's silky talc, or great glow carbon, mined from the devil's own pit.
A thin place only, a scrit of paper between material and spiritual, sense and nonsense, this world and another. Etch os neidirthe, ganach irid na fríde idir muoin agus spiridalt. Cial agus seafhuid, an dón seo is an taltar. Locus tenuis, sola charta tenuissima inter sacra et profana, rationem et ineptius, unum et alterum mondum.
Okay. Great stuff.
No.
Hello. Thanks all, thanks. Now, as probably many of you know, Robert Burns's family originally came from the northeast of Scotland, from somewhere around about Lawrencekirk in the northeast of Scotland. So I'm delighted that we have some representation from that part of the world this evening. From Afford, we've got Alan Taylor, and he's going to sing a song called The Folks All Call Me Rabbi.
Oh, the folks are Camarobi, I'm a McCall Clydesdale horse, companion to my loyal friend, a ploughman no great source. This is my humble story, and I've often wondered why we slowly pass from year to year, but the years they roll on by. I'm proud to have resided in the valley of Strathmore, a better place you cannot find, though you roam the world o'er. A yoke that sucks the hay my corn was groomed and fed some high. Thankful for the tender care and the ploughman's gentle wife. I knew Geordie was my neighbour, oh, where a handsome fair. Who winter throughout the harvest time, the workload we did share. In harmony we gently stepped and travelled for we pride. Oh, what a sight it must be to see us side by side. Knew my days were long, we honest toil was bred into my nature. 16 hands and marin hack, a mighty horse o' stature. Fields o' high or ploughing much, o' triumph and disaster. Though many's a time we swept the board and were happy ever after. Now I'm looking back at happy times. I have no regret. The harness and the decker with their prizes and rosettes. My working days are over now. Oh, I'm resting more and more. And Elkenecht, I'm glad to be. I hand my stable door. Oh, the bothy lads were I great fun with stories or the news. Contented we the work at hand, though pleasures they had few. Afore I go a word or twa, they make ye understand. You cannot beat this wild life, a lifetime on the land. Aye, the folks they come a Robbie, I'm a muckle Gleisdale horse, companion to my loyal friend, a pluming o great souls. This was my humble story, and I've often wondered why we slowly pass from day to day. But the years they roll on by. The folks are Kamarobi.
Oh, gorgeous.
Raw singing, Alan, all the way from Afford, home of the Aberdeen Angus. But you did a beautiful job there, Alan. We're going to have a musical item now from Liam O'Brien, who is one of the country's most acclaimed young concertina players. His CD, which you can look up, The Lane, is an absolute joy and worth listening to at any time. He's going to play two tunes. The first is The Stack of Rye, which is a tune most associated with one of Clare's great musicians of the 20th century, Junior Crehan, who died in 1998, a fiddle player. And the second tune is The Green Fields of America. So from Milltown Malbay, Liam O'Brien on concertina.
Thank you.
Great playing there. Thanks so much, Liam. Now, Jo Miller is not only a singer, but she's a fiddler. She's been a dance band musician. She's a collector and an educator. But we're going to hear her singing now. This is a Burns song that maybe has a wee smidgen of autobiography in it on Burns's part. And it's called Contented Wi' Little and Canty Wi' Mair.
Contented wi' little and canty wi' mair, whene'er forgether wi' sorrow and care. I gie them a scalp as they're creeping along, wi' a cog o' good swats and an old Scottish sang. I whiles claw the elbow, troublesome thought, but folk are all soldiers and life is a focht. My mirth and good humour are coin in my pooch, and my freedom's my lairdship, nae monarch dare touch. A towmond o' trouble should that be my fa, a Nicht o' good fellowship soothers it all. When at the blithe end our journey at last, wha the deil ever thinks o' the road they passed? Blind chance, let her snap her and start on her way. Be it to me, be it frae me, e'en let the jod gae. Come ease or come travel, come pleasure or pain, my worst word is welcome and welcome again.
Good stuff, Joe.
Great stuff, Joe. Thanks very much. And again, Joe's with us live in the company this evening. Now, we're going to go back to the days of black and white now. This next video clip is coming all the way from Canada. And it's my near namesake and Francie Devine's near namesake as well, David Francie. We actually grew up with 2 or 3 miles away from each other in different villages in Ayrshire back in the day. But David moved over to Canada when he was still, I think, about 18 or 19 and has been there ever since and has made a reputation for himself as one of their finest singer-songwriters. And here he is with a brand new song. It's called Absolution, that he wrote with Tara Spencer, and it's been arranged by Mark Watson to enable David to take part in this thing tonight. So here we are, David Francie and Absolution.
The street lights mark the coming night, snow dancing in the arcs and light. Melts upon my open hand the promised love of the winning man. The love that lit and fed the fire, the wanting are the heart's desire. Snow ashes now that softly fall like silent solace on us all. A winter blessing in the end, absolution once again. That falling white that leaves us blind to everything we left behind. All our sins, all our regrets, the ones heart cannot forget. Who we loved and who we missed, that snow as welcome as a kiss. A winter blessing in the end, absolution once again. That falling white that leaves us blind to everything we left behind. Who we loved and who we missed, that snow as welcome as a kiss.
Say I love that, a bit of Canadian noir. Lovely from David Francie there, who contributed that from Perth in Ontario. Next up is the song from which the title of the night has been taken. The title of Peace, Enjoyment, Love and Pleasure. We've already had a sense of it from Margaret Bennett earlier on, but Kieran O'Moyloan, originally from Milltown, Malbay and Clare, but now in Bray and County Wicklow, strongly associated with our sister club, the Bray Singers Circle, is going to sing A Fond Kiss. For the Scots, nothing I'm going to say now is probably new to you, but for others, Burns wrote this song after meeting Agnes MacElhose in Edinburgh, the two famously corresponding as Clorinda and Sylvanda. She returned to her estranged husband in Jamaica, and he sent her this A Fond Kiss on the 27th of December 1791, a letter you can now see in the National Library of Scotland. The original setting was to the tune of Rory Dahl's Port, published in the Scots Musical Museum of 1797. For us, it's most associated with our late president, Dermot O'Cahasig, who unfortunately died last year, but we invited Kieran to sing it because Kieran does a very, very good job of this. So Kieran O'Moyloan, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Francie. No pressure there. Yeah, and very much remembering Dermot singing this. So. A fond kiss and then we sever. A farewell and then forever. Deep in heart-wrung tears I'll pledge thee. Warren sighs and groans I'll wage thee. Wha shall say that fortune grieves him, while the star of hope she leaves him? Me nae cheerful twinkle lights me, dark despair around benights me. I'll ne'er blame my partial fancy, Nathan could resist my Nancy, but to see her was to love her. Love but her and love forever. Had we never loved sae kind, had we never loved sae blindly, never met or never parted, we had ne'er been broken hearted. So fare thee weel, thou first and fairest, fare thee weel, thou best and dearest. Thine be ilka joy and treasure, peace, enjoyment, love and pleasure. A fond kiss and then we sever. A farewell, alas, forever. Deep in heart-wrung tears I'll pledge thee. Warren sighs and groans I'll wage thee.
Hello.
Thank you.
Margaret, Kieran, We're now more or less at the halfway point, a point at which I might again just remind people, if you wish to show your appreciation to the artist, you can do so through the donate button, which is on the Howth Singing Circle website, or indeed Niamh is putting it regularly into the chat. We're now coming to one of the highlights, apart from it being the halfway point, namely the piping in of the haggis. In a normal Howth Burns Nicht in the Abbey Tavern, the whole of the St Lawrence of Howth pipe band would pipe the haggis in, but it has often been addressed by Morag Dunbar from Kirkcaldy originally, and now living in Balerno in Edinburgh, and she is usually accompanied by Janet Weatherston, so good evening to Janet as well. What happens next is the three pipers are going to play A Man's a Man, so you'll see Gary West from Perth, Isla Jane Stout from Kirkwall in Orkney, and Noel Kelly, the pipe major of the St Lawrence of Howth Pipe Band, and then Carol Pryor you'll see carrying the haggis in, and then Morag Dunbar will give the address to the haggis. I might also mention the cinematography of Cecil B. de Pryor, otherwise known as Alan Pryor, who filmed the whole thing. So the address to the haggis with Gary West, Noel Kelly, Isla Jane Stout, Morag Dunbar and Carol Pryor.
Slanjava. Fair for your honest sonsy face, great chieftain o' the Puddin race. Upon the maw ye tak your place, page striper fairn, wheel where you wad your grace as lang's my earn. The groaning trencher there you fill, your hardies like a distant hill, your pin would set to mend a mill in time of need, and through your pores the dews distill like amber beat. This knife, say rustic labour dicht, and cut you up with ready slift, trenching your gushing entrails bricht like ony ditch, and oh, what a glorious sight, wan, reeking, rich. Then horn for horn they stretch and strive, deal tack the hindmost on they drive, till all their well-swelled kites belied are bent like drums, and old good man nae like to rive, be thank it hums. Is there the owlie's French ragout, or olio with stour stew, or fricassee with matter spew with perfect scunner, looks down with sneer and scorn for you on sick a dinner, pear devo. See a Mallory's trash, as feckless as a wither drash, his spindle shanger get but lashes neva knit, through bloody field and flood to dash. Oh, how unfit, but mark the rustic haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, clapping his wally neva blade he'll mak it whistle, and legs and arms and heads will sned like taps of thistle. Ye poors wha mak mankind your care, and dish them out their bill of fare, All Scotland wants nae skinking where the jobs and luggies. So, if you want a great for prayer, gear a haggis.
Plancha.
Banja.
Some hay meat and canna eat, and some wad eat that want it.
Lanta.
But we hay meat, and we can eat. Say the Lord be thanked.
Okay, good. We've just clapped. Great stuff. Sorry, that was David reciting the Selkirk Grace. So our thanks there to Morag Dunbar, who's been a great stalwart at the whole singing circle, as I say, with Janet and their pals here in Dublin over the last number of years, and we're very grateful. I also point out that the reason we ask Morag to do the address is we are, of course, an equal opportunities Burns Nicht in Howth. Right, we're going to have now a wee bit more of the pipers, and this is going to be a duet by our pipe major Noel Kelly from the St Lawrence Howth Pipe Band. Noel has twice been a world champion. The Howth Band won the world championship in their grade 4 in 2005, and then Noel was part of the great Dublin band, the St Lawrence O'Toole Pipe Band, that were the grade 1, the overall world champions a number of years ago. He's going to be joined by Isla Jane Stout from Kirkwall. So Billy Jolly was not the only Orcadian on the bill, the Nicht. And she has just recently issued a pipe tune and CD book with her father, Jim Stout, called The Stout Collection. You can again find that on YouTube. They're going to play 2 tunes. Alan Tully's Crazy Frazee, Alan Tully being one of the great bagpiping dynasty here in Dublin, and from the Stout Collection, The Exploding Haggis. And we must thank Charlie West, Gardy's son, for the filming of this. So Noel Kelly and Isla Jane Stout with 2 pipe tunes.
Beautiful.
Fantastic piping with obviously a great test of a piper's skill. Our next item is one of four, and I should have said this before. We've chosen songs or tunes from the provinces. So early on, Aoife Dermody and Mairead Phelan represented Leinster with the Welcome to Ireland, even though Mairead is in Carrickmacross, County Monaghan. Then we had Liam O'Brien from Munster, and now we're going to have Maeve Maya from Belfast singing a very well-known Burns song, The Slave's Lament. It was written in 1792, not all that long after William Wilberforce's one of his first well-recorded speeches against slavery, which spawned a very broad popular movement, anti-slavery movement in Scotland. And this is a result of that from Burns' part, drawn from the broadside ballad The Trapping Maiden or The Distressed Damsel, about an English girl sold to Virginia, and Burns is said to have written it after seeing a slave ship, or at least a slave trade ship, leaving from Dundee. It's going to be sung by one of our great singers and somebody that started off in the whole singing circle, Belfast woman Maeve Maya, most well known now as a member of the four-woman group Landless, and she's also a central figure in the Belfast singing circle. Maeve Maya and The Slave's Lament.
It was in sweet Senegal that my foes did me enthrall, for the land of Virginia, Virginia, oh, torn from that lovely shore, and will never see it more. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. All along that charming coast, there's no bitters nor frost, like the land of Virginia, Virginia, oh, where streams forever flow, and where flowers forever grow. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. The burden I must bear, and the cruel scourge I fear, in the land of Virginia, Virginia, oh. And I'll think on friends most dear, with a bitter, bitter tear. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh. And I'll think on friends most dear, with a bitter, bitter tear. And alas, I am weary, weary, oh.
Magic. No, it's David.
Just beautiful, and certainly one of Robert Burns's most intriguing songs. Now we've got the third of the trio of pipers featured on the small pipes, Gary West. And Gary was pointing out to me that when Burns was setting words to tunes, he would quite often use recently composed tunes in that sort of heyday of tune composition in the late 18th century. And with a nod in that direction, Gary's chosen a couple of recently composed tunes in the present day, and these are composed by the late great piper from Pitlochry, Gordon Duncan. Here's Gary West.
There's no doubt about it that Gary West is a class act, absolutely superb piping, as indeed was all the piping. And again, thanks to Gary's son Charlie for doing the recording and videoing. We're now going to have a piece from David Francis, Flow Gently, Sweet Afton, originally written as Afton Water in 1791 and set to music, although I don't think it's going to be to music tonight, by Jonathan Spillman. Burns' sister Agnes and her husband Thomas Galt came to Stephenstown in County Louth, where Thomas constructed ponds and managed the estate. So both died in Stephenstown and are buried in St Nicholas's churchyard in Dundalk, where one of the first monuments outside of Scotland to Burns is erected. And in 1919, in a plebiscite in the local paper, the Argus, the famous Carroll's Tobacco Company decided to ask the people of Dundalk what they wanted to call the tobacco. And given what we now know about tobacco, perhaps the choice of Sweet Afton might seem a bit queer. It was a famous brand here anyway until 2011. And interestingly enough, the other two Francie brothers, namely David and David Francie, were both born not too far from Afton Water in Ayrshire. So David Francis.
Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, I'll sing thee a song of thy praise. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream. Thou stock dove, whose echo resounds through the glen, ye wild whistling blackbirds in yon thorny den, thou, green-crested lapwing, thy screaming forbear. I charge you, disturb not my slumbering fair. How lofty, sweet Afton, thy neighbouring hills, far marked with the courses of clear winding rills. There daily I wander, as noon rises high, my flocks and my Mary's sweet cot in my eye. How pleasant thy banks and green valleys below, where wild in the woodlands the primroses blow. There oft, as mild evening weeps o'er the lea, the sweet-scented birk shades my Mary and me. Flow gently, sweet Afton, among thy green braes. Flow gently, sweet river, the theme of my lays. My Mary's asleep by thy murmuring stream. Flow gently, sweet Afton, disturb not her dream.
Gently flowing sweet Afton there from David. Thank you very much. Just had a couple of queries in. Again, if people are looking in and want to see the full screen, go to the view button on your top right and pick speaker view, because we're spotlighting each of the performers. Also to acknowledge we've got people looking in from the Cunnan Valley in Wales, from Quebec, from California, and from all parts of Scotland and Ireland, and you're all very, very welcome. Thank you. The next video is from An Carráiste, the Luck Penny, a group from Belfast, which I'll say a little bit more about in a minute. But they're going to sing a rather unusual Burns song, at least one that's not heard here very often. Yestreen, I Had a Pint of Wine, also known as the Gowden Loch Soana, to the tune of Banks Soana, an Irish tune. It's thought that Burns wrote this about 1790, following an affair with Anne Park, the niece of the owners of the Globe Inn in Dumfries, and she bore him a child on the 31st of March 1791, 9 days after Jean Armour, Burns' wife, had given birth to a son, and Jean raised Anne Park's daughter Elizabeth subsequently as one of her own. It appears in Burns' holograph in a letter to George Thompson on the 7th of April 1793, when he described it as, I think, the best love song I ever composed in my life. However, he was concerned that the song in its original state was not quite a lady's song. And as I said, it's set to the Irish air, The Banks of Banna. It's going to be sung here and played here by An Carráiste, who would have been our guest for the Burns Nicht, based in Belfast. Jackie Jeffries is originally from Edinburgh, and she's going to sing. And she's accompanied by Belfast man Aidan Jaff McShafery, a guitar player and bouzouki player, but best known as an uilleann piper. And if you look up their Facebook page, the Luck Penny Band, you can access them on video and indeed their CDs. They're a terrific couple. So, An Carráiste, the Luck Penny, with Yestreen, I Had a Pint of Wine.
Yestreen I had a pint of wine, a place for body sauna. Yestreen lay on his breast of mine, the Gowden locks of Anna. The hungry Jew in wilderness, rejoicing o'er his manna, was Nathan day my any bliss upon the lips of Anna. Ye monarchs hack the east and west, preemptus days of Give me within my straining grasp the melting form of Anna, then I'll despise imperial charms, an empress or sultana. While dying raptures in her arms, I'll be Awa ye flaunting god of day, awa ye pale Diana. Ilk star gay hide thy twinkling ray, when I'm to meet my Anna. Come in thy raven plumage night, sun, moon, and stars withdrawn, and bring an angel pen to write my transports sweet, my Anna. The kirk and state may join and tell te sick things I the kirk and state can gang to hell, and I'll gate my Anna. She is the sunshine almighty, to live but her I cannot. Had I on earth but wishes three, the first would be my Anna. Her hair back and pinching, and hatch not her brooks the doy and bear grass to a leor Guiana, and to a cacrac sassicum Osaka Havana. Panyani Shenry Feel Vlasin Arbila and Melishana. Had I on earth but wishes three, the first would be my Anna.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was fabulous.
Exception. Beautiful.
Lovely there, folks. Now, Burns was very fond of collecting songs that already existed and were already quite popular in the repertoire, and just tidying them up a wee bit and often improving them. And this next song is one such. It's a very popular song at the time and is still a very popular song today. It's Duncan Gray, and here to sing it is Scott Gardner.
Thank you, David. Duncan Gray, come to woo, ha ha the woo and note, you'll nicht when we was foo, ha ha the woo and note. Maggie Custer heat foo high, looked askant and nunca sky. Garper Duncan stand by, ha ha the woo and note. Duncan vliegt and Duncan preeg, ha ha the woo and note. Meg was dief as Ailsa Craig, ha ha the woo and note. Duncan sighed beth uten in, gratis in beth bleer and blin, spoke all up and allen, ha ha the woo and note. Time and chance are but a tide, Ha, ha, the wooing note, slighted love is sair to bide. Ha, ha, the wooing note, shall I like a fool go he, for a hochty has he? She may gante France wi me. Ha, ha, the wooing note, how it come let doctors tell. Ha, ha, the wooing note, me grew sick as he grew hale. Ha, ha, the wooing note, something in her bosom rings, for relief a sigh she brings, and all her evening sparks at things. Ha, ha, the wooing note, Duncan was a lad of grace. Ha, ha, the wooing note, Maggie's was a piteous case. Ha, ha, the wooing note, Duncan couldn't be her death, swelling pity smoothed his wrath. Now they're crousing canty baith. Ha, ha, the wooing note.
Great stuff, well done. I've just left Scott on the screen just to say that Scott was once a guest at the Howth Burns Nicht, and a measure of how well he was received is there wasn't a tatty or a heron to be bought in Howth for nearly 3 weeks afterwards. That's all I'm saying. Okay. The other thing about Scott is that for those of you that wish to join us tomorrow afternoon for the open singing session, the Fare Thee Well singing session from 3 to 6, Scott is one of the co-hosts with Lawrence Bond here in Howth, and Carol Pryor, who you met earlier carrying in the haggis, and Alan Pryor and Niamh Parsons, who's working hard behind the scenes here tonight, are going to be two of the guests, each doing 3 in a row at some point in the afternoon. So you're very welcome to join us. One of the main features of the Howth Burns Nicht normally is that we have what we can call a resident band, which is John Kelly on fiddle of the great Kelly family from Capel Street, Larry Egan on the box, a Wicklow man, and Mick Mullen, originally from Meath in County Louth, but now biding in Dublin. They're going to play well-known tunes, Chief O'Neill's favourite and The Rights of Man, a hornpipe and a reel. Chief O'Neill was born in Troll Ban in Bantry in 1848, but most famously became chief of the Chicago police force in the early 1900s, and is famous for his collections of Irish music. There's a dispute as to whether the tune The Rights of Man was inspired by Thomas Paine, and indeed when the tune originated, and there are versions of it in both Northumbria and the Isle of Man, but I think Thomas Paine and The Rights of Man were certainly in there at some point. The recording was done by Charlie Lebrun and Aoife Kelly, who has a wonderful website, John Kelly of Capel Street, which is a fantastic collection of John Kelly Sr., the concertina and fiddle player from West Clare, and all the music and associated with their shop in Capel Street. So John Kelly, Larry Egan and Mick Mullen, Chief O'Neill's favourite and The Rights of Man. Oh, feet tapping there now, boy.
I hear this. Yep, hop, indeed. So the next song is another Burns original in which he poses the perennial question, what can a young lassie do with an old man? And here to ask the question from Edinburgh is Amy Leach.
What can a young lassie? What shall a young lassie? What can a young lassie do with an old man? Bad luck on the penny that tempted my Minnie to sell her poor Jenny for hussars and land. Oh, he's always complaining from morning till evening. He hosts and he hurls a weary day long. He's dialed and he's dozing, his blood it is frozen. Oh, dreary's the Nicht with my crazy old man. Oh, he hums and he hankers, he frets and he cankers. I never can please him, do all that I can. He's peevish and jealous, oh, the young fellas. Oh, duel on the day I met with an old man. But my old Auntie Katie, on me she takes pity, and I'll do my endeavour to follow her plan. I'll cross him, I'll wreck him, until I heard Brackham. And with his old brass, I'll buy me a new pan.
Fantastic.
Singing there, Amy, really, really nice. We've got a few people looking in. Jane Rhodes in Pennsylvania, Declan O'Divan in West Weems in Fife, and Angela Gibb. Lovely to have you there with us. And of course, my wee boy Fiachra. Sadiq Ibrahim, Tisbalkhair Sadiq, he's looking in from South Africa. And Randolph Stendal from Norway, and Martin Igedi in Gidor. The next item is the last of our items from the provinces, and Owen O'Canawain is going to represent Connacht. His family are steeped in Connemara Sean-Nós tradition, and all of his family are wonderful singers and musicians, and Owen especially so, recently recognised by Gradam Keol Award. He's going to sing Johnny Shoiga, a song from Cullum O'Queen, one of his favourite singers. It's attributed to Tomás Siúnach of Carna and is one of the very few songs relating to the Great Famine. sort of a satirical song, really, where Johnny Shoiga is begging for relief, having been turned away from the workhouse. But behind the words of praise, as he looks for the relief, there's a scathing rebuke of Shoiga for refusing to provide any relief to the starving man and his family. Leon McKennittmer, excuse me, writes, Johnny Shoiga appears to be a sorrowful song, but carnal law has it as a satire because Johnny Shoiga was a playboy who abandoned his wife and family in Uachtarad and ran off with Peggy Pegsy Barry, daughter of the bailiff in Carna at the time. And it was reported that Johnny Shoiga had stolen the relief book from the relieving office and started to share out the yellow meal as he saw fit. Tim Robinson, in his book, Connemara, Listening to the Wind, says, this cannot be right, as Joyce was in fact a relieving officer in Roundstone, but it isn't probably far from the truth. I think the whole song is wrapped up in the whole folklore of Connemara. Owen is a wonderfully accomplished musician, and it plays with Skipper's Alley and in duet with various individuals, and we're very lucky to have him tonight. When he sings this song, it absolutely puts a smile right across my face, and I can't help thinking of Shankar Mahadevan. And if you don't know who he is, look him up. Owen O'Canawain agus Johnny Shoiga.
Johnny Shoiga, Dignam Horus Mater Ledorus Vadein Marston Reltol Shishelo Rnyas Mochorek Temple de Sublana Gestashe Gloriar Mahulorogome Esas of the Hris, the Turam relief, Mugagatari in Nologin. Larne Waya, Foymen Pa, Persnach Mevisas, Homen Schul. Ach niemand me frau gröde lansch nach me heins mo fasch die we mo fundro tamata schafskur fantel bringar unjarte tu the Vister Joyce, Tam Warkaus Lan, Snilak voran nicht ach nicht moon. Nach Morich Lugo, alle Hornen hat Stallan und Schagalfried. Marstesches ist braucht, Utrecht Numran an morning star no raining she tan one rinti sigalag malai stel dacht die go wishy buzz chef is the hood le marger shilum so Nur nach will she postig Mr. Joyce.
Yeah, if you folk commenting on those amazing long notes there, I think that's what Francis is referring to if you look up the chap that he mentioned. And it's the turn of Francie himself, the last remaining Francie brother, and he's going to do a song called Merrill on a Rowan, originally written as a poem by the late David Purdy from Kirkcaldy and Bonnyrigg, and who wrote in the Scots language, the Scots Lied. And this song is, the poem rather, is taken from his collection called The Biggers and other poems, and Francie himself set it to his own tune. So take it away, Francie.
Pit lasers waffing on the lane, sunlights keeking o' the bing, mull on the rowan singing fine, mull on the rowan singing fine. A brossuch's blawing, Athens fine, and we the marl the stetty sing. Pit lasers waffing on the line, pit lasers waffing on the line. Himsel will be hame ony time, frae Pitmerk, Stir and Duntonding, mull on a rowan singing fine, mull on a rowan singing fine. He's late the day that man o' mine, och dinna let my thoughts tak wing, no a pit lays on the line, no a pit lays on the line. But I was late, yon shift lang syne, o sirens gall and deed bells ring, and mulls and rowans singing fine, mulls and rowans singing fine. Dod, that's him now, eke up the bine, afore the hearth is clane set king, pit lasers waffing on the line, mull on a rowan singing fine. Pit lasers waffing on the line, mull on a rowan singing fine.
Whoa!
Davey.
Thanks, Francie. Link into our next performer who worked in the mining industry for many years and is now one of our more noted singers, and you know him well and Howth as well. It's George Duff I speak of course, and George has chosen a song that couldn't be more appropriate for the times that we live in. Here he is with Parcel of Rogues.
You're muted, George.
Oh. Shouldn't be now.
Yeah, you're okay. We can hear you. Great.
Good stuff. Farewell to all our Scottish fame. Farewell our ancient glory. Farewell even to our Scottish name, sae famed in martial story. New circles over the Solway sands, and Tweed runs to the ocean. To mark war England's province stands, sick a parcel of rogues in a nation. What force or guile could not subdue through mony the warlike ages is rocked now by a coward few, for hireling traitors' wages. The English still we could disdain. Secure in valor's station, but English gold has been our bane. Sick a parcel of rogues in a nation. Oh, would or I have seen the day that treason thus could sell us. My old grey head had lain in clay, wi' Bruce and loyal Wallace. But pith and power to my last hour, I'll mark this declaration. We are bought and sold for English gold. Sick a parcel of rogues in a nation.
Oh, fantastic, George.
Just getting worse.
Well done, George. Terrific singing. We're coming towards the end of the night, so just one or two other wee things to say before we introduce the last two items. Just to recognise Jack Daly looking in this evening, the harpist, Eilish Niredon, one of our great guests in the past, Desi Farrell over in Dublin, Fiona Doherty up in Derry, and Fiona Tyndall in New Jersey. So all of those, and indeed everybody watching here with us on Zoom or on the various Facebook broadcasts this evening, you're all very welcome. From Howth Singing Circle's point of view, this is our 21st year and our 21st Burnsnicht, and because of COVID, etc., we've obviously been reduced, as with many people, to doing it on Zoom. But what better way, or what better partners we could have had than Edinburgh Folk Club and the World's Room, and we're tremendously grateful to them for collaborating with us, particularly David Francis, who's the co-host tonight, John Barrow, and Alan Macmillan, who opened up the night with his wife Rosemary and Wendy Weatherby, in Alan's case for supplying the wonderful programme cover and poster. Incidentally, the Rabbi Burns behind us has gratefully been donated to us by the fabulous Luke Cheevers, one of Dublin's great characters and wonderful singers, and he always, Rabbi that is, has graced our Burnsnicht platform. We must pay a particular tribute to Sandy McGee, who you haven't seen probably, but he's the man that has lined up and edited up all of the videos, and without Sandy we wouldn't be able to work tonight. And we've had a couple of dress rehearsals, so Sandy's put a lot of time in, not just tonight but over the last couple of weeks, in editing things up, and we're extremely grateful to Sandy of Channel 7A in Edinburgh. If you're looking for a video or a production in the Edinburgh area, Sandy McGee, Channel 7A. I'd like to thank, if I can bring her in for the minute, Anne Reardon, who has been doing a lot of the technical stuff, spotlighting and so on, and she's been joined in that endeavour by Lawrence Bond, Helen Lahart, Niamh Parsons and Dara O'Bweel of the Howth Singing Circle Committee, and we should add to that Jerry O'Connor, Paddy Daly, I think that's and Brian Doyle, of course, who make up a committee. We're run by quite a large group. This brochure, which has gone out, and anybody can contact us, we can give it to you electronically, but we printed off some copies, and all of this was done by Christy Hammond of CRM Design and Print here in Dublin, and he's done a wonderful job, and so we'd thank the people that contributed to that. Our main thanks, of course, apart from to yourselves, to all of the singers, musicians and performers this evening, to those that recorded them, to all of you who took time out to do your recordings, but particularly I can just spot Amy Lynch at the top of my screen. To people like Amy and George and others who actually performed live tonight, right the way from Aoife and Mairead who started off, whatever about recording, you're obviously taking a chance when it was live. And I thought everybody tonight, the performance were terrific. So to everybody, thank you very much. We're going to finish with the Howth Singing Circle Singers. This was recorded by Seamus Shields of Fun Magazine, FONN, traditional magazine. You can look it up online or on YouTube. And Seamus has filmed a couple of videos that we've made, one already broadcast to celebrate our 20th and 21st anniversary. And he recorded this in the Howth St Mary's Church of Ireland. And of course, it's the Parting Glass. We always finish our events with the Parting Glass. The Parting Glass, I think people here assume is an Irish song, but in fact it's a Scots song. And one or two of the bits you read about it says it was the most popular song in Scotland until overtaken by Auld Lang Syne. But here we are, the Howth Singing Circle singers, and from Howth Singing Circle we're going to finish up with David and Auld Lang Syne. But from Howth Singing Circle, thank you everybody for joining us for what, for me anyway, it's been a great night.
Francie, I'd just like to extend our thanks to you from this side of the Irish Sea for asking us to be involved. That's Edinburgh Folk Club and the World's Room. It's a great example of fellowship across the sea, and it's just great to be part of it. And I want to also thank all of the Scottish contributors for agreeing so readily to take part when invited. It's just been great, and great to share the music in the evening with you folk there in Ireland. And just to finally finish up, I'm going to call on Joe Miller just to see us out with Auld Lang Syne. So, Joe.
Thanks, Steve. I hope you'll sing along at home. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot, and auld lang syne. For auld lang syne, my Jo, for auld lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet, for auld lang syne. Then here's a hand, my trusty fear, and here's a hand o' thine. We'll take a recht good welly wacht, for auld lang syne. For auld lang syne, my Jo, for auld lang syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet, for auld lang syne.
Lovely.
See Barney's see when it comes, everybody.
That was terrific, and again a great night. Just to remind people, if they want to make a contribution, they can either through the Howth Singing Circle page, or Niamh will probably put it back into the chat. And just to thank everybody and remind everybody that everybody here tonight appeared at their own time and their own cost, which is a tremendous tribute to what tonight's been about, which is a belief in Scottish and Irish music. Yeah. Finally, which I'd forgotten to say, the session tomorrow is from 3 to 6, led by Scott Gardner from Forfa and Lawrence Bond from Raheny. And the two featuring guests will be Carolyn Ann Pryor from Balerno and Niamh Parsons from the Meath Louth border, but from the Howth Singing Circle. And you're very welcome to join us. If you haven't got the codes, just contact us, but they have been sent out widely. Okay, so thanks everybody again.
Thanks everybody, and cheerio from Scotland as well.
You know what? Thanks,
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Davey.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Bye. Well done.